Hey everybody, welcome back to Living Traditions Homestead. Well, we are out by our cattle today because we have an exciting couple of days coming up here with the cattle. As many of you maybe know, or maybe you don't know, Sarah and I got into raising beef cattle about 5 years ago now, 4 or 5 years ago now,
Right.
and we have grown our herd. Our beef cows here, they are Limousine and Hereford cross, which we think is a beautiful cross.
Absolutely.
They grow nice and fast. They're nice, beefy animals, and we just really enjoy raising them. So we have about 15 mama cows here, and every spring they have calves. So at any given time during the summer, we have about 30 head of cattle here on the homestead.
Now, there are a few reasons why we keep cattle here in these beef cattle. There are 3 reasons. The first is they keep our land eaten down, the pasture area, the cleared areas, and even actually in the wooded area. They graze down and keep everything really nicely manicured.
Right. Another reason that we keep them is the obvious. They provide delicious food for our family and our extended family. But they also, we have more cattle than what just we can eat. So the other way that they help us here on the homestead is they are an income source for us. For those of you who don't know how people make money when they have a herd of cattle like this, is basically every spring our cows will have calves. We'll raise those calves up until they're about 6 or 8 months old. At that time, we will sell them off either individually to private individuals, or we'll take them to a livestock cattle auction and sell them in that way. And that's how we make some of the money here on the homestead.
Generally, we keep back 1 or 2, either steers or, maybe heifers one of these days,
Right.
to raise up for meat for our family and our extended family.
Right. So when we started to get into cattle, we started with about 10 cows that we bought with the property when we bought this homestead. This was a herd of cattle that had already been established here on this property, and when we bought the property, we just bought the herd of cattle with them. Now, since that time, we've gotten rid of some of those original cows that we had, and instead we've been holding back young heifers, which are young females that have not had a baby yet are called heifers. We've been holding those back every year to grow our herd. So now we have about 15 female cows, or cows and heifers, here on the homestead. And I think this is about where we want to be as far as the size of our herd.
Now, 8 of the cows, the cattle that we have back here, 8 of them are heifers. And all 8 of those heifers are, basically sisters, because they were all born out of a bull named Tex that we kept here for, I think, 3 breeding seasons.
Right. And if you've been following along, you may know that last fall we decided to sell Tex. Tex was an awesome bull. I wish we could have kept him forever. He was a registered polled Hereford. Great temperament, never had any problems with him being aggressive or anything else. But because we held back so many of his daughters and we didn't want to inbreed, we had to get rid of Tex. So that is part of the excitement that is happening actually tomorrow morning.
Yes, we have an appointment to meet with a very reputable Hereford breeder. He's actually well known even in the whole country.
Right.
He was inducted into the Hereford
Hall of
Fame. And so we're really excited to meet with him to look over the availability of bulls that they have that they're selling this spring.
Right. So if all goes well tomorrow morning, we will be coming back with a new Hereford bull. The bulls that we're going to look at, and they've got several that we're going to consider, are all right around 21 or 22 months old, so they will be ready to start breeding with our cows and heifers already this year.
Now, we generally don't put our bull in with our beef herd until about the beginning of June, but we need this bull sooner than that. Well, number one, so it just kind of gets used to being here.
Right, and so we get used to it.
Right, but also our dairy cow, Babe, she needs to be bred back as soon as possible, basically. She had a calf in November, and so it is getting time where she needs to be bred back so that she can calve again in the winter. So time is actually kind of important now. We need to get a bull here so he can take care of that, and so that we just have him ready to let out when these girls are ready to be bred.
Now the cattle that we have are, these are a cross. They are Limousine and Hereford cross. The original owner of this property liked to keep a Limousine bull. We've decided to go with a Hereford bull, and after our great experience with Tex, our last bull, we've decided to go with another Hereford bull. Now we'll be going with what's called a polled Hereford, which means that they don't have horns, and none of their offspring will have horns either, which is really nice.
Yes.
And we just really enjoy that cross because they are very good natured. They, you can tell they're used to being around us. And we just really enjoy raising this cross of cattle.
So we are excited to go pick out a bull, put him in their trailer, bring him home, and get him all settled.
And introduce them to you guys.
Yes.
But before we can do that, we have some work that we need to do tonight. Last fall, we built a new bullpen, actually for our other bull, and then right after we got done building it, we sold him. So we need to go out to the bullpen. We need to make sure everything is in working order as far as the electric fence. We need to make sure he has water. We need to have a bale of hay out there for him, and we just need to make sure that everything is set so when we bring him home tomorrow, he's got a comfortable place to live. Well, this is our Jersey cow, Babe, and her calf, Ralphie. Ralphie is half Jersey, half Hereford. His dad was our bull that we got rid of. What a beautiful calf he is, and he is growing so fast. Now, they want to eat the bale of hay that I just brought over for the new bull, so I'm going to pull it into the bullpen so that we can shut the gate and they can't get to it. So they have their own bale of hay down there, but for some reason they think this one is much, much better. So behind me is the bullpen that we made last year. There were quite a few different reasons why we built it, why we built a separate pen to be able to separate the bull, and why we built it in the spot that we did build it. Let me show you first where we used to keep our bull. This is our driveway here behind me, and on the other side of the driveway is another paddock that we use to graze our cattle. What we used to do is during the times of the year when the bull was not with the rest of the herd, we would just leave him over in that paddock by himself. It's actually pretty big. It's about, I don't know, 6 or 7 acres probably. It's a good sized paddock over there, and it's got a nice pond and everything like that. The problem was because we like to do rotational grazing, by having him there, that was kind of like right in the middle of our rotation, and so it prevented us from moving the rest of the herd to the spots that we wanted to get them to, because we couldn't move them in with him unless we wanted him to start breeding them, which we didn't. So that's why we decided now to build this separate bull pen just for the bull during the times of the year when he's not with the herd. And this section here is kind of at the end of one of our paddocks and does not disrupt our movement of the other cattle at all. So it's going to work out really, really well. We're excited to have this separate pen just for the bull. Let's go inside and I'll show you kind of how we made this. You can see we cemented in some 8-inch round posts for our gate, so we got a nice strong gate. So we built the entire paddock out of cattle panels, which are about 50 inches tall, 52 inches tall if I remember correctly, and 16 feet long. We also then on the inside of the cattle panels ran 2 strands of electric wire, which are on right now, so I'm not going to touch them, and they're quite strong. So that way, if the bull would try to get, out of the bullpen to breed with any of the cows, he'll get zapped by the electric fence. Really, I don't think that that will ever be an issue, but it's a good second line of defense just to make sure that he stays where we need him to stay. So he will have everything that he needs in here until it's time for him to go in with the cows. You can see he's got a water tank over here. It's already pretty full, but we are going to get it hooked up. I've had it disconnected since we didn't have anybody in here. So it's on an automatic float valve, so this will always stay full. And then there's a frost-free hydrant that the hose runs to just a little ways away from here. If it does freeze yet again this year, we'll just come out and disconnect the hose during the freezing times, but we'll make sure he has plenty of water. Now you may notice that in this pen we have a little bit different of a hay feeder. I'll be real honest with you guys, I have mixed feelings about this hay feeder. We originally bought this when we still had goats, because we wanted to have goats in with our original dairy cow, and we thought this would keep things a little bit cleaner. But to be honest, you guys, the goats still climbed on top of the bale of hay and ended up ruining most of the hay. So, but for just a single cow or a single bull like this, a feeder like this does help quite a bit. What it does is it keeps the bale of hay up off the ground, and since they're going through it slower, by keeping it off the ground, it's going to last a lot longer. It's going to stay good hay for quite a bit longer. So the way that this works is there's just some pins here, and when you buy a feeder like this, it doesn't have this arch over the top. We added that, and originally what we did is we had a tarp up over this. It's kind of disintegrated, and I'm not sure that it did a whole lot of good anyway, so we're not going to probably replace it. I think the bull will go through the hay fast enough. So this front comes off, and then we can load a bale of hay right in here, and then he'll just eat right out of that feeder. Now the bales of hay that we feed are hay that we grew here on our property, on our hay field. We have a neighbor who bales it for us, but this is all grass from our hay field. And these bales run about 800 pounds. They're pretty big bales. They're packed really, really tight. And they're wrapped with what's called net wrap. If you've never seen this before, it's like kind of like a fishing net kind of material. It's wrapped really tight around the bale, and that keeps it all nice and tight and held together. We take that net wrap off before we put it in the feeder or before we give it to the cows and the other types of feeders. That it's not edible. It's like a plastic material. So we take that off before we feed hay. So I'm going to lift this bale up. I'm going to take that net wrap off, and then we're going to put this into the hay feeder. So I think this pen is all set for him, other than on our way through town tomorrow when we go to pick him up, I need to stop at the feed store and pick up some mineral blocks because he doesn't have a mineral block out here and we're all out. So we'll stop and do that. And other than that, he is all set. He'll have a nice home here until it's time for him first to go in with our dairy cow and then in with the beef herd. Well, it's the next morning. We're about ready to hit the road and go look at this bull. He's about an hour and 15 minutes away, so we need to get in the truck and get driving. And we're not really sure how much filming we'll be able to do at the actual farm where we're going to get him. Not everybody wants to be on camera, and we certainly don't ever want to invade anybody's privacy. So if we can get a little bit of footage while we're there, we will, but if not, we'll definitely show you guys after we pick up the bull.
We are so excited to bring him home. This is something that we've been looking forward to for months. So let's get going.
Well, we're back home from Watson's Hereford Ranch. You guys, we had a great time talking with Eddie Watson about Hereford bulls and learning a little bit more about them from him. Even though this is our second Hereford bull, there is always more to learn.
You know, we were really inspired by him. We were really encouraged. He really spent the time to sit with us and talk about what bull and what characteristics of a new bull would be best for us and our herd of cattle, knowing that we have heifers that are going to be bred these next 2 years. Actually, he really helped us look over the numbers of like the statistics basically about each particular bull that he had for sale to find one that would be great for us.
What we settled on is the bull, obviously, that's in the trailer. He is about a little over 2 years old, almost 2.5 years old. I think he weighs right around 1,900 pounds, somewhere right around there. He is a registered polled Hereford. So you guys, we know he is going to give us some great calves once he breeds with our cows.
Eddie Watson assured us that this bull that we bought is probably one of the most gentle bulls he had and that he's ever had there on the ranch. So we're really happy about that. But what we do know is, number one, all bulls can be unpredictable. And number two, this is a really stressful time for him. You know, he got loaded into a trailer. We drove an hour and a half home. Now we're pulled through a pasture and there are other cow sounds, smells.
New smells.
So he's really kind of stressed out. So we just need to be careful for him and really careful for us.
Right. So we are going to let him out of the trailer so he can start exploring his new pen here. I don't suspect that there will be any problems. So we have him backed in. We're going to go ahead, we're going to open the door and we're going to let him out. He, like, you know, you guys saw us yesterday, set up everything for him. He's got food and water. He can see our dairy cows over here. So I think he is going to be good. At some point, we are going to try to move one of our steers in with him just so he has a companion here in his pen. We were going to do that now, but all of our cows were down in another paddock far away and it just wasn't going to happen right now. So, but we will get a steer moved up here so he's not all alone. And soon he'll be moving in with Babe and Ralphie so that he can breed Babe. Well, you guys, the bull is settling in very, very well. No incidents at all. That all went so smoothly. Now, one thing that we didn't mention to you guys is on the way home, we already decided on a name for the new bull.
You know, we had such a good time at the Watson's ranch and we met Eddie Watson, the original owner. And you know what, he's an older guy. He's been in this business for a long time. We were totally impressed with him. And so on the way home, we decided to name our bull Watson after Eddie Watson.
Yeah, we thought that was fitting. Pays a little respect back to the farmer that we got him from, and we think it's going to be an awesome name for him.
You guys, we are so happy to have shared this kind of story with you guys. You know, I've been feeling like there's been something missing from our homestead since we sold Tex, and it has been a bull. That's what's been missing.
Right.
And now we have replaced that bull. We think Watson's going to be a fantastic fit for our herd. We're so excited that he can spend many, many years here.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, he's 2.5 years old, which means, we'll probably get, I don't know exactly how long, but we'll probably get a good 6 or 7 years out of him at least. And maybe even more than that if he's doing really well for us. A cattle farm, cattle ranch isn't much good without a good bull. And I feel like this time around, we really do have one of the best bulls that we could afford.
You guys, so if you are enjoying videos like this, we'd sure love for you to hit the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. But also, really the best way you can help us here on the homestead is just to share our videos on your social media and with your friends, people who you think would enjoy, the kind of life that we're living here. Until next time, thank you so much for stopping by our homestead. Take care and God bless.
God bless.